Hey kids. Hey, what I want to talk to you about today is yesterday I showed you how to install a doorknob, and one thing I didn't do whenever I put this door together was I didn't actually mark it out and put a striker on. And what the striker is the striker is the part that when the door shuts, it's what gives it something to latch to. Um, in that jig I talked about yesterday that you can buy to drill out a doorknob and a door that doesn't have that there, it actually comes with a part that you can do the striker also. Um, like I said, that jig that I was talking about yesterday to drill out the actual hole for the doorknob, it's very user friendly. And one thing I didn't say yesterday was you can actually use that jig also. A lot of people will have a door, but sometimes they'll order the door not knowing that when you order a door, you have to ask for a deadbolt. And what a deadbolt is, it's a lock that goes above your actual doorknob. And what that's for is added security. So a lot of our entry doors into our houses or our garages, places that we want to really secure, a lot of times we'll use a deadbolt. So if you don't have a deadbolt on your door, that's something you can use to add a deadbolt to any door that's wood, fiberglass, and we've even used it on steel before. And a lot of those bits that come with those kits are bimetal, which means you can drill in the metal with them also. And like I said, they're user friendly and they work really well. So for today, what I want to show you is how to go about drilling for a striker plate when you don't have one. So what I want to start out by doing was I shut the door and I watched the latch coming out of the lock. I watched where it hit. I marked the top, I marked the bottom, and I shut that door all the way, and I made sure I marked the back side of it. And what that did was showed me where that thing really needs to sit. So when you're putting a striker on, especially on an outside door, it's really important that you get that door pretty tight, because if you get it too loose and it's an exterior like outside door, what'll happen is the weather stripping that keeps that cool air in the summertime and cold air out in the wintertime. If you don't get a good seal, it's going to let air in your house. So that's something we don't want to happen. So what you want to make sure of is that when you install one of these, that you get that thing nice and tight to where the door operates good and it's not a struggle to push it hard to shut it, but it latches nice and tight and that door seals well. Now on interior doors, it's not so big of a deal, but the only thing, if you don't get that thing to seat nice and tight, that door will always have a rattle to it. So even if your doors like that in your house have that little rattle, it's something you can do after the fact. You can always adjust that strike plate a little bit to give you the, if you need to tighten it up a little bit or loosen it up a little bit. So what I want to do, I want to give that latch part of the lock something to go back into, and right now it's solid wood. So I determined about where the center of that was going to be. So what I did was, like I said, I marked top, I marked bottom, I marked the outside, and I measured the thickness of that latch, and I came up with about a halfway point in between everything, and I put a dot for my center. And what I'm going to use to do this, I'm going to use a spade bit. Let me grab it over here. This is a spade bit, and what a spade bit is, it's basically a wider bit, and you can pick these up really cheap. You can buy them in sets a lot of times, or you can buy them single, but it's a bit for drilling wider holes, and they work really well for things like this. So I'm going to go ahead and chuck this in the drill, and I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole. Now, when I made this door, I got a little bit too much of a gap. I messed up a little bit, probably more so than what I need. So a lot of times when you put this striker plate on, you want to kind of chisel it in and notch it really nice. But in this application, I can't do that because I want it to sit on the outside so that my latch catches. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to center that point up. And I got a nail right here, but it's not quite hitting. If that's the case and you had a nail there or something metal, you're going to want to get that out of there, because if you grab that with the tip of this bit, it's going to tear that bit up and dull it down, and you'll have to go buy another bit. Okay, next, what I want to do is I want to determine where my striker plate's going to go. Now, as you can see, that fits in there real nice. But what I want to do is I want to put that in there, and I want to latch that so that that is hitting right here to have a nice tight. I got a little bit of wiggle room here. The size I used for this, I used a 1 inch. You could probably drop down to a 7/8, but this gives you a little bit more play room. And like you see here, everything is nice and concealed. You can't see anything, and I still have good room for my screws. And they do give you a little bit of play here. If you don't get the door set perfect or you don't get this thing perfect, you do have a little bit of wiggle room, but the in and out is what's really important on this. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get out of the way here off my Minnie Mouse chair. I'm gonna shut this door, and I'm just gonna kind of get a backside of where I want this to go. I can't do that because I got the camera in the way. That's about the line I want the back to hit. And I just bent up my tripod, I shut it in the door. Now I really can't see that, so what I want to do is I want to transfer that line. I want to transfer that line down a little bit to where I can see where that back thing hits. And I think about right there, looks good. I'm going to mark the centers of my holes for screws. I'm going to go ahead and chuck this smaller drill bit back in. I'm going to pre-drill them. I saved my screws from yesterday. And I'm going to go ahead and set this plate. I'm going to go ahead and use a drill to do it with an impact driver. I'm going to go ahead and center my bottom up. Let's go ahead and give it a shot and see how it works. Excellent. It's nice and tight. Now, that thing went in, it latches nice and tight, and you know, I don't have a lot of wiggle room with it. And this playhouse, one of the major things and reasons I wanted to also get this doorknob in, we had a really bad storm last night, and a lot of times if we get that storm blowing in from the west, that weather comes in here, and it's starting to kind of stain the floor in here, and pretty soon I'm going to be putting some outdoor carpet in here. So I want to make sure that things don't get ruined. So that's why it's such a, and also last year, I walked in this playhouse in the summertime, and there was a bird in here making a nest, and it flew out right in front of my face and about scared every ounce of me. It scared me to death. So that's another reason for this latch. So anyway, you know, it's an easy project that you can do at home yourself. Doesn't take a lot of time, doesn't take a lot of skill, and it's something you can be successful with. So listen, kids, have a great Easter. I will see you, I think next Tuesday is our first day back. Yeah, we're off Monday, so have a great Easter. Hope you get to spend lots of time with your family, and I hope the Easter Bunny brings you a great big basket. See you, Marks.